And how you doing? How you living? How you feeling, folks? Back for another episode of the Bases Loaded podcast. Of course, this is brought to you by the Idiots Podcast Network. And I'm your host. My name is Zach. Of course, I'm Idiot Number 0. Back as always for another episode. Always excited to get more sports talk out there into the world. Always happy to talk some sports, talk some shop with the boys. So, with that being said, this episode we're just gonna kind of go over the last couple of free agents remaining. This has been a weird free agency period. We've seen a lot of high end free agents really come off the board late. With guys like Blake Snell and JD Martinez really not signing until the last week. And we're less than a full week away from opening day at this point. We got people signing less than a whole week from opening day, and we already had the Dodgers and Padres Soul Series, take place. I believe that's already happening, or I know Game 1 has happened, but I believe that's taking place at the moment, so that's very interesting. And so let's do this. We'll get right into it. First, we're gonna start off with the all batters that are still free agents, any position players. Then we're gonna move over to the pitchers, talk about who's left over there, and we'll get out of here. So, with that being said, we do have some interesting guys still left on the board, but seemingly just a lot of depth pieces in terms of bats. You got guys like Evan Longoria, longtime third baseman for the Tampa Bay Rays, played a little bit with the Giants and Arizona. He's someone I could see if there's a veteran presence needed. Maybe see Longo go there. A guy like Robbie Grossman, outfielder, played for Texas last year. He might not be bad. I know he had a long stint with the Detroit Tigers. Tommy Pham, a guy who's played a little bit all over the place recently, most recently in Arizona, after getting traded from the Mets. So that's another guy with a little bit of pop in his bat that I wouldn't be all too shocked to see go somewhere. You have guys like AJ Pollock, Gene Segura might be towards the end of his time. You got guys like Michael Brantley, Brandon Belt, CJ Crone. I don't know if Eddie Rosario has been signed anywhere else. He hasn't. Will Myers. Maybe a David Peralta, someone who has definitely some more interesting, stuff is definitely Alberto Mondesi, guy's definitely a little bit more interesting. Still 28 years old, played shortstop for the Kansas City Royals as a high-end prospect, went to Boston, hasn't really shown what he was supposed to be, so that's just very interesting. You got Jared Walsh in there. You got Kyle Lewis, 28-year-old outfielder. That could be an interesting pickup for a lot of teams that, just need some depth. Now, granted, some of these guys may already be signed. I'm just kind of using spot track and what's seemingly left on the board in terms of available. So, if I am wrong, don't hate on me, hate on the website. But yeah, it seems like that's kind of it for the most part. Billy McKinney, you got to throw you in there. You had a good couple seasons with other New York and oh no, that was James Outman. Sorry, thinking of Dodgers, man. Yeah, that looks like it's kind of it in terms of any quality bats. I'm just scrolling down the page. Yeah, we're done with that. So all right, nothing super duper crazy over there. Move over to the pitching side of things. I do know high-end starter Jordan Montgomery is still available, so that's something just to be said. He's high quality. I wouldn't, there's definitely some better overall players still left in the pitching side of things. So Jordan Montgomery, the best overall free agent, still left on the board. He is still available. 31-year-old coming off a great season with Texas, lefty pitcher. Wouldn't shock me to see him get signed on a, multi-year $20 million deal. Like I could see him going to the Yankees on like a weird 5-year $120 million deal. I could see some stupid stuff like that, but we'll see what happens with him as time progresses. I would expect him to sign probably by, my guess is going to be, I would see Jordan Montgomery sign by Tuesday. I think at the latest. I think he's going to want to get in a ball club, get some innings pitched, and just get ready for the season. So Jordan Montgomery, definitely on that list. Zach Greinke's probably going to retire. Johnny Cueto, you might get one more season out of him. Good depth guy. Julio Urias, young, really talented starter from the Dodgers. He had a whole assault case, so I don't know what's going on with that. Looks like he might not be signed this year. May need to take a year off and come back, but Julio Urias is a talented pitcher. Aaron Loop is still available, someone who might need a little fixing, but wouldn't be too bad. Matt Barnes, potentially. I know some guys are signed, like they have David Robertson on here, but I know he's already on the Rangers, so not going to include him. I believe Drew Pomerantz was already picked up. You could go out there, get a guy like Jake Odorizzi. Rich Hill at the age of 44 is still trying to pitch, so good for you. I thought Lou Trevino was already on the Yankees. I don't know why it's saying he's a free agent. Let's see. Anybody else? Julio Teheran is still in the league. That might be an interesting pickup. Eliser Hernandez, maybe. I'm okay without that. Alex Reyes, Jimmy Nelson. Let's see. I think that's kind of it. Not maybe James Caprillion in terms of a starter. Steven Nagosic. Yeah, Dallas Keuchel's still on the board. Archie Bradley's still on the board. Interesting. Alex Colomé, that's a guy I might be able to give a shot. Let's see. That really kind of looks like it's it. Not a ton of free agents left on the board. I know Hyjin Ryu went back to play in the KBO. Good for him. Going back home to play in his home country. Get to enjoy the latter end of his career. So good for you. I really hope you get to enjoy that opportunity. But yeah, really outside of Jordan Montgomery, there's not a lot of high-end guys left. And while we're talking about this, Jordan Montgomery, a team, let's see what teams we think Jordan Montgomery could go to. Honestly, I'm going to put both the New York clubs in there, the Mets and the Yankees. Wouldn't shock me if either club went after Jordan Montgomery, just because of how their rotation currently sits. I don't think the Orioles would go after him, even though I think that would be a really cool and fun signing for them. Let's see who else. Boston would be another good team to go out there and pick him up. Let's see. Maybe the Angels. Angels should be taking a shot at Jordan Montgomery 110%. I could see the Rangers trying to sign him back. That wouldn't shock me if they didn't. Let's see. Any other teams? Maybe the Cubs. The Cubs could definitely use a Jordan Montgomery. The Cardinals might be able to use a Jordan Montgomery. The Padres could use a Jordan Montgomery. And maybe, here's a fun one. Maybe the Diamondbacks. I feel like they could use a pitcher. Let's quickly bring up their depth chart while I'm still on the hot mic. So, if we bring up Arizona's depth chart, this is what we're going to see. We're going to see that they have a pretty solid lineup as it slowly loads. There we go. They have a pretty solid looking lineup for the time being. And then we get to the pitchers. They got guys like their bottom of their bullpen is filled out by Brandon Pfaadt and Ryan Nelson. They're definitely two younger guys. I would say they've had some career success. Not two guys I'd be ultra eager to keep in the lineup, but at the same time, Brandon Pfaadt had very minimal starting time in the MLB. Ryan Nelson's really only had 1 year in the MLB. They both had over a 5 ERA through 18-plus games apiece. I would definitely, if you're looking to make another World Series run, I think Jordan Montgomery really does help your team, especially with the rotation looking like it does, with Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and Erod. I think that starting 3 in your rotation is really solid. To pick up a guy like Jordan Montgomery and add him in there, that makes your rotation pretty freaking elite. It looks pretty damn. I mean, don't get me wrong, Gallen is definitely an elite pitcher, but outside of that, Erod is considered good, and Merrill Kelly, I guess, is considered good. But to add a guy like Jordan Montgomery in there really shores up that bullpen and just makes it unbelievable. So that's going to be the place I pick that he's going to go to Arizona. I think that'd be the most fun landing spot in my personal opinion. I'd definitely throw the Mets and the Yankees up there and maybe even Boston. Now, with that being said, I really do appreciate you guys coming out, listening, spending time with me, just to talk some shop, talk some baseball. It's always good to be back in the studio. So, with that being said, don't be afraid to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and don't be afraid to throw a comment. If you throw a comment down there, you want to hear about something, you want me to talk about something, let me know. I'll do the research for you. That's the best part. I do the research, and then I tell you what's going on. So if you have any ideas for me, don't be afraid to throw those out in the comments. I do try to respond to every single comment. I don't have a lot of people commenting, so it's not too hard. Now, with that being said, I really do appreciate you guys for coming out and listening. And with that being said, have a great day, and stay idiotic.